What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good Friday. Justin here to do a new list video. I had to talk about this topic in this episode of the list. First, I'll be talking about the WWE's new pay-per-view name that they came up with in July. I believe it's July 9th in Dallas, Texas. It's a Raw pay-per-view. And it is one of the worst, one of the dumbest, one of the stupidest, just one of the most ridiculous, dumbass names I've ever heard for a wrestling pay-per-view. I'll be talking about the name of their new pay-per-view in a minute. But my other topic I'll be talking about is Scott Steiner. He returned to Impact Wrestling. If you didn't know, there's been spoilers out there. I believe last Sunday, when they were taping an episode of Impact Wrestling, Scott Steiner returned last Sunday. Returned to the Impact Zone, and I'll give my thoughts on him. I'm not a fan of Scott Steiner. So, first topic. WWE decides that it's a good idea to put this news out there, or somebody got a hold of the news, that the Raw pay-per-view in July, so I guess Money in the Bank's a SmackDown pay-per-view, I don't know. I'm not even sure Money in the Bank is in July. It might be in June, I don't know. But the Raw pay-per-view in July is called, I'm going to really try to not laugh here. The WWE pay-per-view in July is called Great Balls of Fire. What the fuck were you thinking, WWE or Vince McMahon? What the hell were you thinking? Great Balls of Fire is ridiculous. It's the dumbest wrestling name for a wrestling pay-per-view I've ever heard. Great Balls of Fire. Oh my goodness, that's so stupid. You know how many jokes are going to be made on social media, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere? You know how many jokes are going to be made about that name? Great Balls of Fire. I mean, Big E on Twitter already joked about it. He put out a funny tweet. Noam Dar put out a funny tweet about the name. Becky Lynch put out a funny tweet about the name. Lance Storm put out a tweet about the name of the pay-per-view and what he thinks. It is ridiculous. It's embarrassing. That's the first thought. First thought that comes to my head is it's embarrassing. That name is embarrassing. As a WWE fan for life, as a WWE guy, I always saw myself as a WWE guy over WCW, especially in the late 90s. Even though WCW was better when they debuted the NWO. I'll admit that. They were definitely better TV on Monday nights. And they had the better show and more entertaining, more real-life storylines. It was more interesting than Raw in 96 and 97. Even though Raw had some very good episodes in 97. And they had a lot of great talent also. But back to Great Balls of Fire. What in the fuck were you thinking? That is a god-awful name for a pay-per-view. And there has been some really bad names for wrestling pay-per-views over the years. I'm going back over 20 years. First one I can think of that was really bad is WCW had a pay-per-view called Battle Bowl. Battle Bowl. Not a good name for a pay-per-view. But not as bad as Great Balls of Fire. Battle Bold in November 93 is a better name than Great Balls of Fire. Other names for pay-per-views that were pretty bad, but still not as bad as Great Balls of Fire. World War III. Not a great name for a pay-per-view, but better than Great Balls of Fire. What else did WCW... Trying to think of other bad names for pay-per-views. They had Battle Bold, World War III. I can't think of any other ones that were really bad that they came up with. WWE. They've usually named their pay-per-views when they come up with a new name, new concept, and a new name for a new pay-per-view they want to debut. They're usually pretty good with naming their pay-per-views. Usually very good. WrestleMania. That's one of the best, most catchiest names out there is WrestleMania. Everybody knows what WrestleMania is. SummerSlam, great name for a pay-per-view. Survivor Series, great name for a pay-per-view. Royal Rumble, great name. I mean, there's many others. Great American Bash, WCW, NWA, that's a great name. But I don't know what were they thinking? Great Balls of Fire. And they announced that Brock Lesnar, it will be his first title defense at Great Balls of Fire. Bad, god-awful, embarrassing name for a pay-per-view. WWE, yes, I'll still watch, and I'll still be a WWE fan, but I'm embarrassed. It's embarrassing that you came up with that pay-per-view name and you couldn't come up with a better name, or just take an old name from a pay-per-view. Like, you could have named this July 9th pay-per-view in Dallas. It's a Raw pay-per-view. You could have brought back Bad Blood. Maybe you are bringing back Bad Blood. I don't know. Could have took a name from In Your House. One of the In Your House pay-per-views. You could have brought back Fully Loaded. Fully Loaded. That's a pretty good pay-per-view name. Could have brought Fully Loaded back instead of Great Balls of Fire. Could have made up a name for a pay-per-view that, I mean, I could come up with 10 or 20 different names than Great Balls of Fire that are better than Great Balls of Fire. I don't know why they couldn't, and they didn't want to. It's ridiculous they came up with the Great Balls of Fire. It's a disgrace, and it's an embarrassment, and it's pathetic. It could have came up with anything else. Anything else would have been better than Great Balls of Fire. That is ridiculous and stupid as fuck. Enough about Great Balls of Fire. I just had to get that off my chest. I mean, even TNA, back in the day, 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, they had a pay-per-view called Hard Justice. Not a great name for a pay-per-view. Hard Justice. Very stupid name. Sounds like a freaking bad porn movie. Hard Justice. Not a good name for a pay-per-view. Anyways, Hard Justice, better pay-per-view name than Great Balls of Fire. I don't know what the hell were you thinking, Vince? Great Balls of Fire, that's all you could come up with? I could come up with like 10 or 20 better names than that. So now on to Scott Steiner. He has returned to Impact Wrestling. I'm sure it's only a short part-time contract, short-term contract, probably a month contract, I don't know. I hope he didn't sign for a year, because that'd be ridiculous. The guy is not going to be able to wrestle for no year, if he did sign for a year. First off, Scott Steiner, for like the last 15 years, 17 years, the guy juiced. The guy absolutely abused steroids. absolutely abused him from 97 until probably, I don't know, 2011 or 2010. The guy probably abused steroids for all those damn years. Because there's no fucking way Scott Steiner never tried steroids. The guy was huge. The guy's muscle, his bicep was bigger than my head. And I have a pretty big head, but Scott Steiner's biceps were bigger than my head. The guy was obviously on steroids. And WWE obviously didn't have a drug testing program when he returned in late 2002 because the guy was still huge and still had biceps as big as my head. So Scott Steiner, the guy's broken down. I believe he's 54 or 55 years old. First off, the guy's really broken down. The guy would not be able to put on a decent match with anybody. Somebody would have to carry him 100% through the entire match. He'd probably do a lot of botches, a lot of fuck-ups, and he could even drop someone on their head. The guy's broken down. The guy has not been in his prime. Scott Steiner has not been in his prime, in my opinion, since late 96. 97, he was decent, but he didn't do that many good moves, really. He could barely do his Frankensteiner anymore in 97, and he totally stopped doing it in 98. So, first off, I was a Scott Steiner fan when he was in the Steiner Brothers, up until 97, 98. His Big Papa Pump gimmick, it did get over. He had some good catchphrases, and he did some good interviews on Nitros. And he said, with the microphone, or all my freaks out there, talking about all the women out there. And nothing's finer than Scott Steiner. Big Papa Pump's your hookup, holler if you hear me. The guy had good catchphrases. The guy was pretty good at promos. But I was not a fan of him after 98. The guy was pretty much garbage in the ring in 98, and from 98 until now, the guy was pretty much garbage and kind of broken down. So now he's older. His WWE run was bad because the guy was injured, had a bad ankle, bad foot injury, and bad ankle injury. But that was 2002, 2003. And now in 2017, Impact Wrestling in 2017, you think he's going to be able to put on a decent performance at Slammiversary as Josh Matthews' tag team partner? No, he's not going to. I hope he barely gets in the ring because he could hurt someone, he could hurt his opponent, he could hurt himself. I don't think Scott Steiner's as big as he used to be, but if the guy takes a bump or gets suplexed or takes a body slam, I'm afraid the guy's fragile, in my opinion. His bones are probably weak because of all the steroid abuse. The guy takes a bump, he could break his hip, he could break his back, who knows. The guy shouldn't be wrestling ever again. So, I don't hate Scott Steiner, but I'm not a fan of his. I don't like what the guy does outside of wrestling. When the guy's attacking Hulk Hogan all the time, challenging him to fights and just stupid shit. Like, why the hell would Hulk Hogan fight you in real life? The guy's not gonna waste his time bothering him. He's not gonna stress himself out trying to find you to go fight you just because you're mad at him. And who cares if you're mad at him? I don't know what Hulk Hogan ever did to you, Scott Steiner, but I really doubt he ever held you down or ripped you off in the business. Or maybe backstabbed you. I don't know. I don't care. But just that stupid shit. Scott Steiner for like the last 5 years was challenging Hulk Hogan to fight, that he'd kick his ass and beat the fuck out of him. Stupid shit. You're not going to fight Hulk Hogan. You're not going to go find him and fight him, so just shut up about it. Just shut your mouth about it. I'm positive that Hulk Hogan has millions of fans that they all were influenced by him to be wrestling fans, and Scott Steiner, you probably have 1% of the fans. Maybe 1% of fans that still remember you, that I would say Hogan still has over 75%, 80% of his fans still like the guy. Scott Steiner, you probably have no fans left. So I didn't like Scott Steiner. I mean, on Twitter, the guy has attacked like everybody almost. Not fans, but he's attacked a lot of wrestlers. And he's only back in Impact because of Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner are boys. So, whatever. I just hope he's back for only a month. And then he goes away and never shows up again. Because he doesn't need to be in wrestling anymore. The guy's really broken down. The guy shouldn't be taking any bumps. The guy shouldn't even be stepping in a ring. I don't care if he still has mic skills. I don't want to see him. And it's just, Scott Steiner, the guy, I think he's insane. I think he's insane up here. Because not only did the guy keep challenging to fight Hulk Hogan outside the ring, I don't know why Scott Steiner has so much heat and hates Hulk Hogan for some reason. Anyways, it was 2-3 years ago, Scott Steiner reportedly went up to Hulk Hogan's wife and whispered in her ear and, said he's going to basically threatened her or Hulk Hogan and said, I'm going to come find your husband and beat the fuck out of him or kill him or something. Ridiculous. That's uncalled for. Just because you hate a co-worker that you worked with in wrestling business, just because you hate Hulk Hogan, supposedly you hate the guy. I don't know why. Maybe you think he ruined Impact and held you down or some crap or got you fired. Who knows? Probably got yourself fired because you're stupid and you don't know how to shut your mouth. So Scott Steiner, again, if you hate a co-worker or you hate someone that you're in the wrestling business with, do not be going up to their wife and be threatening her or her husband's life. That's ridiculous. That's just totally out of line to be doing that. I don't like Scott Steiner being back, but hopefully it's not for long. That's all I got. This ends this episode of The List. Hope you enjoyed it. Talked about WWE's god-awful Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view name they came up with. That gets 2 thumbs down. That's a god-awful name. Worst name for a pay-per-view I've ever heard in my life as a wrestling fan. And I've been a fan for 30 years. So, Great Balls of Fire, that's stupid as hell. And I talked about Scott Steiner being back with Impact. If you're upset, I gave a spoiler that he's coming back. Well, it's been all over Twitter and the internet. I didn't want to know he was back, but it was unavoidable. I saw a picture of him that he returned to Impact. Last Sunday I saw the picture. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this list. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.